Have you been down thinking about what's next on your agenda, whether you're in real estate or maybe it's on a personal level too? We've got you covered.
Hello and welcome back to International Championship Workshop, where realtors come together to talk about real estate and real estate related topics and entrepreneurship, owning a business, building a team, leadership, and all that fun stuff that comes with all of it. And today we're going to discuss overcoming obstacles because it's something that you need to do as a human being. It's your birthright to come across these obstacles. They're going to be big, they're going to be small, there's going to be skinny ones, fat ones, tall ones, short ones, round ones, square ones, triangle ones, and whatever. And we kind of need to adapt every time that we come across them and learn how to overcome. It's a never-ending learning process, I think, anyway. And of course, um, in real estate, it's just part of our day to day to come across obstacles as real estate salespeople, which is always fun. But how do you do that whilst overcoming obstacles in your personal life, whether that's with family, friends, maybe something's happened, and you're trying to do all of these things at the same time? So I think this is going to be full of value, and information that can be super useful. Jason, how are you doing?
Hello. Hey, brother. I'm good. And I know we're going to bring a lot of information just jam-packed in a short amount of time. So I'm ready for you, Ian.
Nice, nice. So, obstacles, overcoming them. Not always an easy challenge. And as I mentioned before, I think as realtors, it's something that we literally have to do day to day. And I know that I'm in a different market to you. So if you don't know, I'm in Spain. Jason's in Indiana in the US. And no two sales are ever the same. And not one sale is ever easy. There's always something that pops up at somewhere along the line, even if it's the last moment of the closing, or even when or at the very beginning when you're just listing the property or signing with the buyer or whatever. There's always something that pops up and becomes an obstacle that we need to adapt to. And I wanted to ask you, Jason, obviously with experience, we kind of learn and we can, you know, face these obstacles and challenges a little bit better each time. But something that's new and you've never really come across before, how would you take that on and how would you overcome an obstacle that you've never really had to deal with before?
I believe first, be aware that these obstacles will show up. When nobody knows. It's as you get that activity. We're a big component of activity leads activity. So if you're making calls, doing videos, touching your sphere of influence, you're creating activity. That activity is going to lead to that next activity, which is showing homes, putting a listing out there, writing offers. That's great. Those are awesome things. But nobody really preps you for, hey, here comes an inspection, and here comes a low appraisal, and here comes the buyer lost his money or lost his job and has no money. What do you do in these obstacles come in your way? And so that's a big thing, is just be aware, especially as you're newer to the industry. You want to do that and know that they're coming, and then have somebody who's a great sponsor, a great mentor, that you
Yes.
could rely on. So if you could see those things popping up, then you could go, hey, Ian, I noticed this and this doesn't look right. Can you give me an extra set of eyes? And
Yep.
I would believe in your, what you say at that point.
Yeah, that's actually one of the biggest the points that I was going to bring up. If I was asked to kind of answer my own question, how would I uh come to a challenge and face it? How do I learn to overcome a new challenge or obstacle? Is um know who to surround yourself with people that are going to support you in any way. Because if you're doing this by yourself, which I've had the experience of doing, I tried doing going independent at one point. And I was just kind of running in circles, and I felt like I couldn't expand my market because I was afraid something would happen and I wouldn't know how to overcome it, and I didn't have anyone to ask. And any agents that join my organization here at EXP, I always say to them, I may not be the biggest seller in EXP and I don't know all of the information, but if I can't help you directly with your problem or with your issue, someone else in the organization probably can. But if they still can't help you, I know someone that can, whether that's you, Jason, my sponsor, or someone at the staff at EXP, or some other agent in other countries, overseas or whatever. I think that's one of the most important points, and that's probably my number one go-to thing when it comes to overcoming newer challenges, and especially in this business. Um, Lean on the support that you have. Do not ever not take advantage of it, because those are the agents that end up leaving the industry. They
Yeah.
say that they weren't helped, they didn't have the support. They did, they just didn't use it.
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you something, and I just kind of a sidebar of what you just said about that
Yeah,
support system and being tied in at EXP. Uh, I am enthralled with how awesome the support system is. You literally,
yeah,
because we are that cloud-based brokerage, you need to plug in. And
mhm,
that's vital. And so that's again where, Ian and I want to help people that come in and do that stuff because that opens doors when you find that door is closed, if that makes sense, right?
yeah, yeah,
So that's where it's like, hey, I found this obstacle. Hey, Ian, hey, Jason, maybe one's on vacation, maybe somebody's busy, maybe it's midnight, who knows? But how can you get that answer in the moment? And so that support system's huge. And yeah, with our model, it's just phenomenal, I believe. Something else you talked about was surrounding yourself with the right people.
yeah,
100%, Ian.
yeah,
That book, I talk about it all the time. Who, Not How. One of
yeah,
my all-time favorite books. It's all about that. Surrounding yourself with the right people, whether it's your family, whether it's your friends, whether it's your coworkers, all that stuff. And what's that quote or whatever? You're as good as the average of the five people around you, or something like that.
yeah, something like that, something along those lines. You're like
Yeah.
the, yeah,
So look at that and think, all right, hey, I'm the average of the five I'm around. So average is what? The middle, right? So who's the two higher? Who's the two lower? And that's where you want to kind of dissect it and say, all right, hey, what am I not getting? And so that's going to change your mindset and really help you with any obstacles because now you're putting those right who's around you and you're leveling your game up because you're
yeah,
constantly striving for better people to be around.
yeah.
And
That's
that's what
actually
it's that's huge. Go ahead, my man.
100%, and that's actually something I've been thinking about recently because we started doing these calls, these sessions, and I try to think about the people that I'm surrounding myself with, and also who I want to surround myself with. And it's like, I'm talking with directors of growth, directors of regions or countries within EXP, the CEO of the company. We're talking with people that have come from nothing and become super, super successful entrepreneurs every single week. And it's affecting me obviously in a good way. And it's like, man, I get to, it never used to be like this, where now I can say, oh, by the way, next week I'm talking with so and so, some super multimillionaire entrepreneur in the real estate industry, whether he's with EXP or not. And it's like, I asked me 6 months ago, I probably couldn't do something like that. I couldn't. And I think that the leveling up process is quite difficult at the same time because, and I found this when I first got into business in like 2017-ish, is that you outgrow, it sounds kind of harsh, but you kind of outgrow your inner circle, your group of friends, because you're getting somewhere and they might not be. And I that can create some friction sometimes, but you got to do what you got to do at the end of the day. You can't let other people drag you down and keep you there. And no, that's huge, and that's something that happened to me at the beginning of all of this um entrepreneurship journey, you could say. It was just before I got into real estate where I ended up now. But surrounding yourself with those people, whether you know it or not, it's affecting you in an extremely positive way. And the more often you do it, and the more you try to do it with more successful people, the more you're going to learn from them, the more they're going to motivate you. And I think that's huge. That's definitely been something that's happening to me recently, and I'm seeing it happen in real time, which is really cool.
Good for you, man. I'm happy to hear that. And it does. And it doesn't happen overnight. And you talk about, these CEOs and their stories of everything that they've got going on in their lives or where they have come from to be here. We all have stories. Society
Yeah,
just kind of dictates that, hey, don't really share your story. And that's not cool. People should share their story and say, hey, here's where I've come from. And whether it was from a super rich place, or maybe it was just a
right.
total opposite, where people had nothing and found out that they had to work super, super, super hard, and then even harder to get to where they want to be. And it's those stories that really just help showcase people and bring them to the forefront. And when you're working with people like that and being led by people like that and becoming a leader like that, that's huge, and people just want to understand that too. Um,
Yeah,
and again, we're just because we're people. Hey, let me
yeah,
understand your story. Now I respect you even a hell of a lot more. And and wow, it just now it's like, all right, cool. Now I know where he came from, and look where he is, or look where she is right now. And you're like,
right.
that's cool, man. That's all right. That gives me opportunity, right? That gives
Yeah,
anybody motivation. It inspires people, and that's what that story helps with too. So
yeah.
yeah, I mean, look at yourself and think of where that story is, and who you needed to remove out of that story, and who you needed to put into that story to help you leveling up, whether it's month over month, year over year, decade after decade, whatever that case is. You got to pay attention and build, 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 and never give up.
No, that's it. And you talking about that actually, it reminds me of I read a book. I've read it a bunch of times actually. It's called Millionaire Success Habits by Dean Graziosi. I don't know if you've heard of it or read it, but
I've heard of it. Yes.
I'm pretty sure it was in that book where there was an exercise that you had to do. And part
Like
of it
jumping
was
jacks.
writing down, yeah, no, no, that comes pretty hard to do whilst reading a book. But the exercise was to write down your story currently as you see yourself negatively. So
Mm.
like, oh, I'm a piece of shit. I can't do this. I can't sell a home every month, or I can't I'm losing touch with my family or whatever it is, and you kind of you write your story short, like a kind of paragraph, one paragraph on your current story, and then it makes you, you get through the book, and then he makes you kind of redo that story again, as the person that you aspire to be, or something along those lines. I can't remember exactly how it was, but it's kind of like something that you had to do every now and then. You kind of update your story every X amount of time, but the fact that you actually have to write your own story, I think is really cool. So you're talking about people telling their stories and whatever, how that can be super inspiring. I can probably bet that most people have never done that. They know themselves, but if I was to come up to you and say, tell me in 1 minute your story, it's probably pretty hard because you've never actually sat down and done that. And I
Yeah.
think that that is actually a really, really good first step of overcoming obstacles, because that's exactly what that book was talking about. It was overcoming obstacles of, well, in that case, being poor. The obstacle of being poor, becoming successful. The book is Millionaire Success Habits. So that was the obstacle that we're trying to overcome. And as you said, it's not overnight, but starting with knowing your story and being able to tell it and possibly inspiring others with it as well is huge.
Yeah.
It's huge. Super
It
motivating.
totally is. And
Yeah.
you've got to look inside. And you've got to understand you, whether it's on that story front or just how you work. And when I say work, I don't mean professionally, just how you work as a human
Yeah.
being. You know, that's the big thing. And it just self-reflection so you could be better and really improve that story. You know, I continue to work on my story year after year. You know, for the last 7 years, I've worked on my telling my story, and it's a constant work in progress. I've got kids. You've got kids, Ian. It's one of those where when I read them a story, how does the ebbs and flow go?
Right.
Right? So at the same time, when you're telling your story, you also want that ebbs and flows. So it's again, you know the basics, and you know whether you're being aware of who's around you first off, understanding your story, sharing your story, and then tweaking that along the way, but not saying, "Hey, I'm only going to do my story and that's it." And then 6 months goes by, and you're like, "Oh crap, that didn't work." Well, no doubt we got to multitask a little bit,
Yeah.
work on that story, and then be there. You know, saying, "Hey, what's that next hurdle?" What I wanted to dive into as well on the next piece is just knowing what that hurdle is. What is that
Yeah.
obstacle that is coming? When it hits you,
Mhm.
are you reactive? Are you saying, "Oh man, this stinks, this sucks, I hate this, oh, I can't do it, this is it, I'm done"? Or are you proactive? Are you seeing that coming? Saying, "Man, that rock's going to hit me pretty soon. It's
Yeah.
getting closer. It's getting closer. All right, I need to figure out how to move here. Do I move left? Do I move right? You know, what is my move here?" Being proactive, you're going to be so much stronger because you can make a calculated decision to make that and move that direction the way you want to. Something I always say too, Ian, I forget where I heard it, you know, control what you can control and be open-minded to the rest. Because if you can control things, good. Do your best, work them to your advantage, make it happen. You see an obstacle coming, or you know that, hey, obstacles can hit in this area, be aware of that. And if it
Yep.
happens, cool. You're like, ah man, all right, I tried, but I hit this obstacle, but here's how I'm going to come over it. You're a problem solver, right? You found the
Yeah.
problem. I've already got a solution. And when your mindset is solution based, there's no stopping you.
You're limitless.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
man. You
True.
know, so
That's
man, you know, Ian, I love this stuff, and I know this is one of your fortes as well as mindset. And I bet me and you could probably talk on this for like hours, all day. You know,
days.
I know
Yeah.
we only have a few short minutes left, but let me hear your point of view too, man. I mean, what do you think is important when it's coming to overcoming these obstacles, man?
Yeah, I think, just to kind of bring it together and tie things up and start finishing up here is I when it comes to obstacles, and I'm trying to think in general, so not just like real estate focused, no, just in general, I think that one of the best ways for me to overcome them, the first one is you touched on it there, was identify what it is, first of all. Don't be super reactive to it. So find out what it is, where it's come from. Like if it's an issue in your business or in your family, you've been fighting with friends or why, find out why and what's going on, because you might be super biased first and make a permanent decision with a temporary emotion kind of thing. So look into the obstacle, exactly what it is and where it's come from. And then I chunk them down. I try chunk it down and prioritize to overcome. So is it something, like you said, that you can control? And is it something that needs done now? Or can it wait a little bit because you have something else that's a little bit more important? Uh, kind of prioritize what needs to be done right now and do it. Do it, chunk it down, make it bite-sized so that you can overcome it piece by piece and eventually you'll get through the whole thing. So that's uh that's my take on overcoming obstacles.
Love it. Great segment there, brother. And you know, just to jump on that too, be transparent. If
Oh
you're
yeah.
transparent with yourself,
Mhm.
And maybe you need to be transparent with a spouse or just an accountability partner at work and say, hey, this is what I'm facing. I need help with this. It's okay to ask for help. I think, over years, depending on your age, it's like, hey, don't ask for help. Just be that tough guy and you could do
Yeah.
this. Well, cool. But again, we're stronger in numbers. And that's
Yeah.
like where Ian and I, we're friends from over the water here. And
Yeah.
it's just, we hold each other accountable. We help each other out. Is every day a good day? No. But if I could lift him up, great. If he could lift me up, great. And if we're on the same path and we're both kicking butt, it's a day. And
Yep.
so we could be transparent to say, hey, man, I'm not doing good today. XYZ's going on. All right, cool, man. What can I do? How can I help you? What needs to lift here? Maybe it's go for a run. Maybe it's change that mindset. Maybe change the scenery. Get outside, get that fresh air. I think Sir Darren was talking on that other
Yeah.
podcast we did, brother. Um,
You're welcome.
that was fabulous. It's that simple. So be aware, be transparent, and just be awesome.
That's it. That's it. Awesome stuff. Well, International Championship Workshop every single week. Tune in, listen in, watch us, whatever it is that your platform is that you're using. Jason, again, pleasure being with you as it is every time we see each other virtually. And no, thanks for your input. We'll be here again next week.
Ian, you're a rock star, buddy. Thank you for
My
always
pleasure.
bringing the energy, bringing some good knowledge mic drop moments here today. Man, you're awesome. And everybody else watching, don't forget to, keep joining us. Subscribe, leave some comments too. It helps us
Yeah.
out. And even in the comments, let us know what you want to see. We want to keep making this the best webinar, whatever you want to call it. We call it International Championship Workshop. We want you to be a champion. So come on out and help us become a champion.